Are you struggling to lose stubborn belly fat? You're not alone. 93% of women have the same issue, especially if you're trying to lose those last 10 pounds. Today, I'm diving into the science behind why that fat loss is so hard and sharing the 6 proven strategies to help you finally get results. Okay, first things first. Why is belly fat so stubborn, especially for us women? Of course, genetics do play a role. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose where your body likes to store fat. For most women, the lower belly, hips, thighs, love handles, those are the areas where we tend to have the most challenge. There are a few factors that contribute to that challenge. The nature of fat cells, the blood flow in those specific areas, and the impact of hormonal differences. Not all fat cells are created equal though. Your body has 2 main types of fat cells, alpha fat cells and beta fat cells. Here's the catch. Alpha fat cells are more responsive to fat burning signals, meaning it's easier for your body to break down fat in areas that have more of those cells, like your upper body and your arms. However, areas where you store that stubborn fat, like your lower belly and your thighs and hips, those are loaded with beta fat cells, which don't respond as well to those fat burning signals. These cells make it much harder to mobilize and burn fat in these regions, which is why many women notice their belly fat seems to cling on despite your best efforts. On top of this, blood flow is really important. The areas where you store stubborn fat often have reduced blood flow, which means your body has a harder time transporting fatty acids from these areas into your bloodstream to be used for energy. It's as if those fat deposits are tucked away in those hard to reach places, and it makes them more difficult to break down. But here's the good news. Stubborn doesn't mean impossible. With the strategies I'm going to share, you can stimulate the processes that help burn that stubborn fat. The challenge lies in being strategic and patient, but the results are absolutely achievable, and I see women do it every day. Then we have hormonal differences, right? Our bodies are naturally designed to carry more fat than men's, and this is closely tied to hormone functions. Hormones like estrogen and progesterone play a huge role in determining where our fat's stored. These fat stores are important for our reproductive health and maintaining hormonal balance, particularly during childbearing years. But as we get older, especially for those of us in perimenopause and menopause, hormone levels fluctuate. Lower estrogen levels in particular are linked to increased fat storage, especially around your belly. This shift in fat distribution is frustrating but normal. But it doesn't mean fat loss is out of reach. While you can't change your hormonal structure, you can adopt strategies that are going to work with your body's changing needs. So here's the hard truth. One of the biggest reasons women struggle to lose belly fat isn't because they're not working hard enough. It's because they give up too soon. Let me break it down. When you start losing fat, your body doesn't necessarily burn it evenly across all areas. You might notice your face, your arms, your lower legs, they're leaning out, but your midsection is holding on for dear life. That's normal, and that's when most people quit and think it's not working. What's really happening though is your body is shedding fat from other areas first, making your belly fat more noticeable by comparison. It's frustrating for sure, but also a sign that progress is happening. You just need to keep going. That's why it's so important to be consistent and not let a plateau derail you. Remember, the areas you want to change the most, those are likely to be the last to show it. Okay, let's talk solutions. There are 6 strategies I've found to be most effective for women that finally want to lose that last bit of belly fat. Number 1, macros matter most. I can't stress this enough. If you're not tracking what you're eating, you're flying blind. Tracking your macros gives you control over your results. Specifically, your protein intake needs to be high. Aim for at least 30% of your calories coming from protein if you're in your 40s or 50s now, like me, and going through those hormonal changes like menopause. Higher protein helps you retain muscle mass and fuels your metabolism, making fat loss more efficient. And when you get to that last bit of stubborn fat, instead of cutting calories further, you might want to try cycling your macros. This way, you can fuel your workouts and give your body what it needs to continue burning fat. Number 2, progress your core work. So here's the secret. You don't have to do endless crunches to see ab definition, but you do need to strengthen your core in a progressive way. Focus on exercises that engage your abs through a full range of motion, add resistance, and vary your tempos. Think about moves like weighted planks or hanging leg raises, cable crunches. These are going to challenge your core in a way that traditional ab work doesn't. And yes, it'll help improve blood flow in those areas, which also makes fat burning easier. Tip 3, focus on quality over quantity. More isn't always better. In fact, overtraining can lead to burnout and it can actually slow down your progress. Instead, focus on quality, both in your workouts and your diets. When you train, make sure you're using good form, increase resistance, and really engage the muscles that you're targeting. With diet, prioritize nutrition-dense foods. Sure, you can have some fun foods occasionally, but if you want serious results, the majority of your meals should be rich in protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Number 4, the process is never linear. Sometimes women don't realize that fat loss is not a straight line. It's full of ups and downs, plateaus, and sometimes steps backwards before you start moving forward again. This is something that women I work with in my online fitness and nutrition coaching program struggle with from time to time, especially if they're just starting to lose body fat after years of gaining. It's easy to expect that once you start making changes, the weight will just consistently drop off week after week. But that's not how our bodies work. Some weeks you'll see great progress in the form of the scale dropping or noticeable changes in the mirror. Other weeks, despite sticking to your plan, you might not see any movement at all. It's completely normal though. Here's why. Our bodies are constantly adapting. As you lose fat, your metabolism may slow down and your body may become more efficient at functioning with fewer calories. That's part of our body's survival mechanism. It's designed to resist losing fat because historically, fat meant energy reserves for times of scarcity. So when the scale doesn't budge for a week or two, it's not a sign of failure. It's simply your body adjusting to a new normal. This is where the real mental challenge comes in because it can be frustrating to feel like you're putting in all this effort without seeing a lot of progress. One of the most important aspects of any fat loss journey is learning to embrace those ebbs and flows of progress. You want to remember that consistency over time is what gets results, not perfection every single day. Sometimes when progress slows down or stalls, it's a sign that your body needs a break. This is where diet breaks or periods of maintenance eating can play a huge role in your long-term success. Giving your body a chance to reset by increasing calories for a bit to a maintenance level just for a short period of time can actually stoke your metabolism and give you a much needed mental relief from the grind of dieting. It prevents burnout both physically and mentally and can actually make it easier for you to push forward in the long run. In fact, scheduled breaks can also prevent the dreaded rebound weight gain that often happens after strict dieting. When you take time to allow your body to adjust to a new, healthier weight by eating at maintenance, you're creating a sustainable path forward. You're teaching your body that your new weight is safe rather than something to be resisted. So, when progress feels slow or non-existent, remember this is part of the process. These breaks aren't setbacks. They're necessary steps in building a healthier metabolism and a more sustainable lifestyle. Tip number 5, remove hyper-palatable foods. When I talk about hyper-palatable foods, I mean a class of heavily processed, refined foods that are designed to be highly rewarding to your brain. These are going to trigger overeating and cravings. These foods typically combine high levels of sugar, fat, and salts to create an irresistible bliss point that hijacks your brain's natural satiety signals. Think of things like chips or crackers, ice cream, fast foods, and even some so-called healthy options like keto-friendly treats that use a lot of artificial sweeteners and fats to mimic the indulgence of being low carb. From a biological standpoint, these foods manipulate your brain's reward centers by releasing large amounts of dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and motivation. This creates a cycle of craving and over-consuming because your body isn't equipped to recognize when it's full from these types of really calorie-dense, nutrition-poor foods. Studies have shown that hyper-palatable foods can override your body's natural hunger and fullness cues by dulling the hormone leptin, which signals satiety, while ramping up ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates hunger. This disruption makes it easy to overeat, even when you're consuming more than enough calories. The problem with regularly consuming hyper-palatable foods is that they do more than just encourage overeating. They also impair your metabolic health. These foods are typically low in essential nutrients and high in refined sugars and unhealthy fats. That's going to contribute to insulin resistance, inflammation, and weight gain, especially around your midsection. When insulin resistance develops, your body's ability to use glucose for energy becomes compromised, leading to higher insulin levels and more fat storage, particularly in that belly region. Over time, this can make losing belly fat even more difficult as your body becomes less responsive to fat burning signals. To successfully reduce belly fat, you want to focus on nutrient-dense foods, whole foods that can naturally regulate your appetite and improve your metabolic health. Foods like lean proteins, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables work in harmony with your body's hunger and satiety signals, making it easier for portion control and to maintain a caloric deficit. These foods are less likely to cause blood sugar spikes and crashes, helping to stabilize your insulin levels and promoting fat loss. If you cut back on hyper-palatable foods and replace them with whole, unprocessed alternatives, you're going to find it so much easier to stay on track. Number 6, ditch alcohol. When it comes to losing belly fat, what you drink can be just as important as what you eat. And one of the biggest culprits holding you back could be alcohol. While sugary drinks and high-calorie coffees are obvious offenders, alcohol often sneaks under the radar as a major fat loss obstacle. The problem with alcohol isn't that it doesn't just have extra calories, empty calories. It actually slows down your body's ability to burn fat. When you drink alcohol, your body treats alcohol like a toxin and prioritizes metabolizing it over everything else, putting fat burning on the back burner. Here's the kicker. Alcohol doesn't just slow down fat loss. It actually increases fat storage, especially around the belly. In women in particular, alcohol raises our cortisol, that stress hormone that tells your body to store fat. On top of that, alcohol spikes your hunger hormone, ghrelin, making you feel crazy hungry, which is why after a few drinks, those late night snacks seem so hard to resist. This combination of excess calories, disrupted fat burning, and increased appetite, it's a recipe for belly fat retention. Women are especially vulnerable to alcohol's fat-storing effects. We tend to metabolize alcohol more slowly than men, which means its impact sticks around longer. Add to that the fact that alcohol messes with your estrogen levels. It's no wonder that women find belly fat harder to lose if they're drinking several times a week, even if they're maintaining an overall calorie deficit and staying within their macros. It also doesn't help that alcohol disrupts your sleep. It's going to throw off your hormones and sabotage your fat loss. Poor sleep equals more cravings and less willpower the next day, making it even tougher to stay on track. So, if you're serious about losing belly fat, reducing your alcohol consumption is one of the most effective strategies you can implement. If you do choose to drink, limit it to 1 to 2 drinks once a week and avoid sugary mixers. Make sure you hydrate and make smart choices before and after drinking, like eating a protein-rich meal to help stabilize your blood sugar. Here's the bottom line. Losing belly fat, especially that stubborn kind, takes time, patience, and consistency. There's no shortcuts. There's no magic pills and no gadgets that are going to do the work for you. But if you focus on these 6 strategies, keep your nutrition and workouts on point, and don't give up when it gets hard, you're going to see results. It's not just about having a flat stomach. It's about proving to yourself that you can overcome challenges, break bad habits, and build a stronger, healthier body. The confidence you gain from achieving that goal, it's going to spill over into other areas of your life. So, if you're ready to make that challenge, Stay the course and commit to the process. I'm here to help.